Hello and welcome to Housing TV News at the top of the hour, coming to you from our studio in the nation's capital, Abuja. I am Maimuna Bagudu. Our top stories: President Tinubu returns to work, takes briefing on tax reforms. Senate committee halts Transmission Company of Nigeria's 2025 budget presentation over discrepancies. Minister of Finance Wale Edun identifies inflation as major economic challenge. Minister of Housing seeks more funds for renewed hope cities. Others. On the foreign scene, Spain proposes ban on property purchases by non-EU citizens, including Nigerians. We begin with national matters. President Bola Tinubu has returned to his duties after his participation in the 2025 Abu Dhabi Sustainability Week held from January 12 to 18. On Monday, he received briefings from key officials, including Chairman of the Federal Inland Revenue Service, Zak Adediji. He also met with Kogi State Governor Usman Ododo and House of Representatives member James Falike. The summit, hosted by the United Arab Emirates, brought together over 3,500 delegates, including heads of state and sustainability leaders from around the globe, to discuss sustainable development and energy transition under the theme, The Nexus of Next, Supercharging Sustainable Progress. During the summit, Tinubu addressed key issues such as Nigerians' commitment to combating climate change, emphasizing the nation's advancements in renewable energy and policies aimed at reducing carbon emissions. He called for international collaboration to tackle environmental challenges like deforestation and flooding, asserting that Nigeria is prepared to partner with other nations for a sustainable future. Minister of Finance and Coordinating Minister of the Economy, Wale Edun, has identified inflation as the biggest challenge to stabilizing the country's economy. He emphasized that inflation undermines economic reforms and growth efforts, making it a critical focus for the government in 2025 and beyond. The minister made these assertions when he appeared before the Senate Committee of Finance headed by Senator Sani Musa. Edun also highlighted measures such as boosting domestic food production and improving food accessibility for Nigerians.
It is still a difficult road to travel, although we are very much going in the right direction. The economy is turning the corner. We can look forward to brighter prospects. Inflation remains stubbornly high, and Central Bank is doing its utmost to ensure that it tames inflation so that living costs can come down. And in particular, the government is focused on making food production, increasing food production, so that food inflation, which is a major component, is ameliorated.
Series of questions were thrown at Edun by members of the Finance Committee on the state of the country's economy.
Inflation is skyrocketing. Our debt exposures are increasing. And the average purchasing power of Nigerians out there in the street, it can't resonate with them. When you say our economy is improving, foreign reserves are increasing, and so on, it doesn't resonate with the average Nigerian. So, quite frankly, I would like you to use this opportunity once again to assure us what you have been doing, but most importantly, for this year, 2025, this new year, what you intend to do differently, because clearly, all that the government has been doing from 2023 till now has not worked. So, it's good to hear what you have done, but we have not seen the practical results. You could have it in the academic analysis and so on, the things like that. But what can you do to show that you will do differently?
Honorable Minister, your budget with a personnel cost of 2.4 billion, an overhead of 8.5 billion, and a capital of 27.4 billion. Is it the opinion of the committee that we approve this proposal? Those in support say yeah. Yeah. And those against, the ayes have it. Please now, you can take your leave, Honorable Minister.
little corruption in the agencies and ministries that you have noticed that probably brought the attention to bring about this centralized working system. The centralized system now is awesome. It is not working. There is still a bottleneck of corruption, and unless that is corrected, and I want us to reflect with the House Committee, find a way to alter this centralized working system and try to make sure that the windows of corruption are actually reduced minimally. We are Nigerians, we know who we are, we know what we are, we know what we do. In everything that we do, there are elements of...
In his response, Edun emphasized President Bola Tinubu's significant role in rescuing Nigerians' economy through bold reforms.
President Bola Tinubu, he saved the economy, he saved the society. How did he save the economy? In his time, every penny spent has been earned or has been procured in the financial markets on willing buyer, willing seller terms. Because they believed in his macroeconomic plan, the multilateral institutions, the repositories of the cheapest money internationally, 40 years to pay back, 10 years moratorium, 1% interest. We approached them, they looked at our plan, and they believed in it, and they provided funding.
Following extensive discussions, the committee approved a budget for the Ministry of Finance totaling 38.3 billion naira, which includes 2.4 billion naira for personal costs, 4.5 billion naira for overhead, and 27.4 billion naira for capital expenditures.
In the economy, looking at it also that the revenue to GDP have increased in 2022-2021 was 7%. In 2023 became 9-point-something%, and now we have it at 10.5. That proves that the economy is working. If you look at also the debt to GDP ratio, it has increased from the 44, less than 44 to 55, though both are less in average to what is expected with other African countries, if you look at it. So there is also need for us to improve. We need to look at the expenditures. Even from the ministry, if you start to nullify some of the unnecessary spendings, you will see that our budgetary system will change.
Now we move to the Senate, where the Senate Committee on Power has suspended the 2025 budget presentation of the Transmission Company of Nigeria following identified discrepancies in its proposed figures. Chairing the session, Senator Eyinaya Abaribe, representing Abia South, raised concerns about inconsistencies in the Transmission Company of Nigeria's budget allocations for compensation related to transmission lines and substation projects.
5 billion is compensation for transmission lines and substation projects. The compensation is 3.5 billion, but in your budget, you now say the compensation is 1.7. In other words, what you're giving us is different from what the president proposed. So how do we marry the two? Or the president proposes and you decide on your own to, you're not the National Assembly. What you ought to have done would have been to bring it to the National Assembly to tell us, this is the proposal that we have for this funding. It is our job to break it down, not your job. Because you're part of the executive. You can't also change what the president has brought.
Noted, Chairman. Let me explain.
During the presentation, Transmission Company of Nigeria's Managing Director Sule Ahmed Abdulaziz highlighted the company's challenges in protecting power assets from vandalism, stating that Transmission Company of Nigeria alone cannot address the issue.
And that's why we're telling the government that TCN alone cannot protect these national assets. That's why we need the support of the security forces. But you see, all these security agencies are under the office of the NSA. So anytime we send a request to the NSA, he has the way he coordinates with the military, with the Navy, with the Air Force, and all the other security agencies.
Despite the halt in the Transmission Company of Nigerian's budget presentation, the Senate committee proceeded to review budget submissions from other agencies under its oversight, including the Nigerian Electricity Liability Management Company, National Power Training Institute of Nigeria, Rural Electrification Agency, and National Electricity Management Service Agency. Now, the House of Representatives Committee on National Security and Intelligence has appealed to the President Bola Ahmed Tinubu to direct the Minister of Finance to ensure full releases of the 2024 capital allocation and the overall interest of the nation. Chairman of the committee, Honorable Ahmed Satomi, made the appeal in Abuja during the budget defense session of agencies under the Office of the National Security Advisor. Satomi says it is highly regrettable that capital allocation to some intelligence agencies have not been released, while releases to others have not been encouraging despite the applicable allocation to the security sector.
I am therefore calling on Mr. President of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, President Bola Ahmed Tinubu, GCFR, to please intervene, not just for an increase in the allocation to the agencies in the intelligence sector, but to also direct the Honorable Minister of Finance to, as matter of national security, prioritize the full release of all the outstanding 2024 budget allocation to the intelligence agencies and sustain the practice and prompt releases to them going forward. Honorable colleagues, as we deliberate on the agency's budget today, let us remember that our ultimate goal is to enhance national security and promote the well-being of our citizens.
In his remark, the Permanent Secretary, Special Services in the Office of the National Security Advisor, Mohammed Sanusi Danjuma, explained that the proposed budget is tailored towards addressing the evolving security challenges facing the country. He said the proposed budget will enhance coordination and collaboration by strengthening partnerships within security agencies to foster a more cohesive and responsive security architecture.
The security agencies have to develop their infrastructure. So improving infrastructure is one of the key aspects that enables them to perform their various operations and to support the efficient services, effective service delivery. Capacity building and manpower development. Mr. Chair, we need to upgrade the existing skill and expertise of our personnel to address emerging security challenges. It is worthy to note, Mr. Chair, that the envelope system of budgeting provides a lot of constraint in terms of resource allocation to the intelligence community. However, despite these challenges, the agencies try to strike a balance between their operational needs and the government fiscal constraints. Finally, Mr. Chair, the intelligence community always assured the Honorable Committee of their commitment, transparency, accountability, and effective resource management by ensuring that the budgetary provision align with the government overall security objective.
Danjuma assured the committee of the agency's commitment to transparency, accountability, and effective resource management in ensuring that the budgetary provisions align with the government's overall security objectives. We take a pause here. News stories from the build sector are up next. Stay with us. You're still watching Housing TV News at the top of the hour. Now to the build sector. The Minister of Housing and Urban Development, Architect Ahmed Musa Dengiwa, is seeking more funds for 7 critical housing sector programs. He said these projects include the Renewed Hope Cities and Estates Housing Program, Slum Upgrading and Urban Renewal Program, and others. Dengiwa called during the Budget Defense session of the Senate Committee on Housing held on Monday at the National Assembly complex. Dengiwa stated that these areas are critical to Mr. President's transformative policies and programs to put the economy on the path of recovery and growth. The minister reiterated that in the 2024 fiscal year, the sum of 162.609 billion naira was allocated to the ministry, yet the ministry had been given an envelope of 83.752 billion naira as the ministry's capital budget ceiling for 2025, which is a far cry from even the 2024 appropriation, which amount was considered inadequate. Dengiwa further requests that the distinguished chairman and members of the critical committee to make good use of their good offices to increase the budgetary allocation in several key areas. Now, the Federal Mortgage Bank of Nigeria has announced a record disbursement of 12.18 billion naira in National Housing Fund refunds to retiring or existing subscribers within a 10-month period. Managing Director and Chief Executive Officer of the bank, Shehu Osidi, disclosed these when he led the bank's top management as part of the team of the Federal Ministry of Housing and Urban Development that appeared before the Senate Committee on Lands, Housing and Urban Development at the interactive session, which was to review the ministry's 2024 budget performance and 2025 estimates. Osidi said out of the over 91.1 billion naira refunded since inception, over 12.1 billion naira was recorded within a 10-month period, especially since his appointment in February 2024. The feat, according to a statement from the bank, was achieved between January and October 2024, presenting more than 13% of the total recorded NHF refunds since the inception of the scheme in 1992. He said this was a result of progress improvements introduced in the bank by the new management to improve turnaround time and ensure speedy approvals and disbursements. Now to the FCT, where the minister, Nyesom Wike, on Monday commissioned the 9-kilometer road in Abaji area council of the nation's capital, Abuja. The access road connects Naharati River Okia to Ungwan Hausawa community in Abaji area council. Wike, during the commissioning, told Abaji people that they should expect another road as contained in the 2025 budget. The minister recalled that in October last year, he flagged off the road project with a promise to deliver in December 2024. He said the contractor delivered the job before schedule by November last year. Wike said the project was a promise made and a promise kept. He charged the people not to categorize them as other politicians who promise and fail. Wike also assured the people that 2 police divisions were under construction in the area council, as well as the Abuja University of Technology, Abaji, Auta. The minister also expressed his commitment to developing the rural areas, just like he is developing the city center of the FCT. Now to wrap up Housing TV News at the top of the hour, on the foreign scene, Spanish Prime Minister Pedro Sanchez has announced a bold plan to restrict non-EU foreigners, including Nigerians, from buying properties in Spain unless they are residents. The move, aimed at curbing housing speculation, addresses the nation's escalating housing crisis. During a rally in Plasencia, western Spain, Sanchez stated that the proposal includes a controversial measure to impose taxes of up to 100% on property acquisitions by non-EU citizens residing outside Spain. This approach, outlined on January 13, aims to reduce demand while increasing housing supply. A source close to the Prime Minister clarified that the ban is not yet finalized. Instead, the focus is on deterring speculative investment through steep taxation. President Donald Trump has signed executive orders to undo gender and sex-based policies introduced by the Biden administration and remove diversity programs from the federal government, officials reported. The actions outlined by an incoming White House official reflect the culture war issues that energized Trump's campaign and which he has promised to address as president. The first order would direct agencies to treat biological men and women as distinct sexes, stop promoting gender ideology, and require some agencies to recognize only male and female on forms. The State Department will now require passport and visa applicants to correctly state their sex on official documents. According to the official, federal prisons and migrant shelters will also be required to maintain single-sex spaces, the official later added. Now that's the much we can take on Housing TV news at the top of the hour. Before we go, let's quickly take a look at our top stories. President Tinubu returns to work, takes briefing on tax reforms. Senate committee halts Transmission Company of Nigerians 2025 budget presentation over discrepancies. Minister of Finance Wale Edun identifies inflation as major economic challenge. Minister of Housing seeks more funds for renewed hope cities, others. On the foreign scene, Spain proposes ban on property purchases by non-EU citizens, including Nigerians. For more news in the housing sector, subscribe to Housing TV Africa on YouTube and follow Housing TV Africa on all social media platforms. You can also download the Housing TV Africa mobile app on Google Play Store and Apple Store to stay connected. I am Mimuna Bagudu. Thanks for watching and have a good day.
Visit Housing TV Africa on YouTube and click on the subscribe button. Subscribe to Housing TV Africa to stay updated on latest happenings in Nigeria's housing sector. Follow our social media pages, like and share our posts. On Facebook, Housing TV Africa. On Twitter, Housing TV Africa. Instagram, Housing TV Africa.
Housing TV Africa, your first in housing development broadcasting.